1983, South Atlantic. British soldiers are struggling through freezing peat bogs in the dead of night, dragging artillery shells across terrain so soft it swallows their boots nearly a foot deep. Heavy vehicles are trapped, supply trucks are buried in mud, even tracked carriers are starting to fail. Above them, helicopters roar through the darkness, overloaded with fuel, casualties and ammunition deliveries. Every flight hour is being rationed. Every mistake could collapse the entire operation. So the soldiers do the only thing left. They carry the ammunition themselves. For miles. Through freezing rain. Under enemy artillery fire. And when the war finally ended, British military planners realized something terrifying. One of the most advanced armies on Earth had nearly been defeated by the ground itself. Not enemy tanks, not air power, not artillery. Mud. That logistical nightmare exposed a dangerous weakness in modern warfare. Armies had tanks, APCs, helicopters and missile systems, but they still lacked one critical thing. A machine capable of carrying heavy supplies across terrain where even humans struggled to walk. So Britain began searching for something almost impossible. A vehicle light enough for helicopters to transport, strong enough to tow artillery, simple enough for soldiers to repair in the field, and powerful enough to survive mud, sand, rivers, mountains and snow without getting trapped. What they found looked completely ridiculous. 6 enormous low-pressure wheels, a massive exposed steel frame, chain-driven all-wheel drive, barely any electronics, no heavy armour, no complicated systems. It looked less like a military vehicle and more like industrial equipment built to survive the end of the world. But underneath that strange design was one of the most overbuilt off-road military carriers ever created. The platform eventually became known worldwide as the Supercat All-Terrain Mobility Platform, and versions of it would later serve in countries like Malaysia, Canada, Brazil and Mexico. In fact, the Malaysian Condor APC program would become one of the most recognizable export users of the platform's brutal all-terrain philosophy. During military trials in Scotland in the mid-1980s, engineers pushed the vehicle into terrain designed to destroy conventional transport systems. Peat bogs, soft sand, steep wet hillsides, flooded ground. One by one, competing vehicles became trapped, but the Supercat kept moving. Observers watched this giant 6-wheeled machine climb slopes above 45 degrees, float through rivers, and tow artillery across mud deep enough to swallow armoured trucks whole. That was the moment British commanders realised this thing wasn't just another logistics vehicle. It was a monster. By the late 1980s, it officially entered military service, and almost immediately it started proving itself around the world. During the Gulf War in the early 1990s, Supercats hauled missile launchers, ammunition and supplies across Saudi desert terrain that trapped much heavier vehicles. The same low ground pressure designed for mud worked perfectly in deep sand. Then came northern Iraq. Royal Marines operating in steep mountain terrain, flooded valleys and unstable mud roads needed a machine capable of carrying fuel, equipment and wounded soldiers where ordinary vehicles simply could not go. The Supercat handled all of it. Its wide, low-pressure tyres spread the vehicle's weight so evenly that it could move through terrain that buried heavier trucks almost instantly. It was built for one thing: going where everything else failed. That's why upgraded versions are still being developed today, including hybrid electric and optionally unmanned variants using the exact same six-wheel concept created over 40 years ago. Not because it looked futuristic, not because it won famous battles, but because when roads disappeared, when helicopters couldn't land, and when heavier vehicles got buried, this thing still moved. And sometimes, in war, reliability matters more than firepower. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten military engineering, hit like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Because some of the most important military vehicles ever built were never the ones getting all the attention.